Hello everyone, my name is Chloe and today I am here with a brand new video. Welcome back to Brunette Bibliophile, where I post bookish videos and writing content. Today I am here to do my August wrap up. So I actually got a good amount of reading done in August by completing 11 books. I think I may have also finally pulled myself from this somewhat like half slump where I was only listening to audiobooks and I wasn't reading any books, but that was much later on in the month and we'll talk about that. Everything that I read this month, with the exception of maybe 2 or 3 items, was an audiobook. We'll also talk about that on each individual item, so let's just go ahead and jump right in. So the first book I read was Lessons in Chemistry by Bodyguard. This is about Elizabeth Zott, who is a female chemist in the 50s and 60s, and kind of her experience being a female chemist in the workforce and during motherhood and all these various times that come up in her life. And eventually, through a series of events, she becomes the host of a TV cooking show. I would almost give the vibes of this book kind of similar to Evelyn Hugo, but not as like immersive and gripping as that book is. Still a very good book. I gave it 4 stars. I kind of leave it along those lines because it did feel almost like how we were hearing about her life. Overall, 4 stars. Next, I read Happy People Are Annoying by Josh Peck. For those of you who don't know, Josh Peck was a child star, specifically on Nickelodeon. He was in Drake and Josh, The Amanda Show, and then for people who more watch YouTube nowadays, he was in David Dobrik's vlogs for a period of time. I listened to the audiobook, which was read by him, which I thought was a perfect reading experience, honestly, because we're hearing his story from him. And honestly, some of the things that happened in his life were unexpected to me. I don't want anybody to put this along the lines of the new Jeanette McCurdy book, because I don't think it's that deep. I haven't read that one yet, but I am looking forward to it. I've heard amazing things. It still delves into his troubles that he had, but it's a little bit more light. Overall, I enjoyed this. I laughed out loud at various points and I gave it 4 stars. Next, I read The Dragon's Bride by Katie Robert. This one took me way longer than it should have to finish. A new series that I decided to delve into by this author, and it's exactly what it looks and sounds like. It's basically monster porn. I really enjoyed it though. There's definitely some other content warnings, so I recommend looking into this a little bit more deeply before deciding to pick it up. But I really enjoyed it, and the second one comes out next month, I believe, September or October, so I'm very excited to pick that up. 4 stars. Next, I read The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. This is a contemporary romance surrounding a personal protection officer and an actor. There is a stalker situation going on where the studio that this actor is under contract with wants him to have security while he is visiting his sick mom. This was the first Catherine Center book that I read. This one was a book of the month pick, which is why I picked it, and I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I don't have super deep feelings on it, but other than that, it was enjoyable. As you all can see, I have a lot of 4-star reads this month so far. Next, I read a weird book, and that is Thirsty Mermaids by Kat Leigh. This is a graphic novel surrounding essentially drunk mermaids. I thought about DNFing it, but then there was a point where I was just too far gone and I had to finish it. I don't have much to say about this book except it's just straight up weird. And I did not rate it, but it was weird. Let's just say it's an experience that I had. Next, I picked up Finlay Donovan is Killing It. This is by Elle Casamano. I have seen this one going around. I've heard good things. The third book is coming out early next year, so this is definitely something I wanted to pick up. It felt like it was a mystery that was up my alley, to where it borders on contemporary mystery and funny. I will say that it wasn't super laugh out loud like I thought it was going to be. There were actually elements that were kind of depressing, but the premise of an author who is overheard talking to her editor about trying to write a killing scene, and then she is mistaken to be a killer or a hitman or whatever you want to call it, was just too good to pass up for me, and I gave this one 5 stars. I am very excited to pick up the next 2 in the series. I don't think a lot of people are talking about the sequel, to be honest, so I will be one of them. I'm very excited to pick it up. I have it on hold at the library. I'm just waiting for a good time to where I'm not overwhelmed with books that I need to read for specific purposes. Next, I read The Unsinkable Greta James by Jennifer E. Smith. This was a contemporary fiction novel. I wouldn't even call it romance because that fizzled really quick. This was a book of the month pick a few months ago, and I didn't pick it up. I was too on the fence about it, and I ended up getting it from the library instead, which I think was a good move for me. Her books are just too meh for me. I don't think I'm going to continue picking up any of her releases. I'm pretty sure I've read most, if not all, of her young adult work. I gave this one 3 stars. I don't even think I'm gonna bother next time. This gave me vibes of like low-key Daisy Jones. Like, we have this indie rock star who is on a cruise with her dad, and it was just okay. Next, I read Full Disclosure by Cameron Garrett. This was the BookTube Chicks book club pick for the month of August, and I'm not going to talk too much because I'm going to link our live show in the description below where you can hear all of our feelings, but I do have mixed feelings on this book. The message about HIV and the stigma around it, I think, was presented well, and I think the representation was really great in this book, but I found that the rest of the book, the romance, the friendships, the contemporary aspect of the book was just boring for me. And something that I talked about in the live show is that I want everybody to take my review with a grain of salt, because this book was not meant for me. I am not the intended audience for this book, so I want everybody to be able to read this book and form their own opinions, and don't just take it from me. Take it as a grain of salt, read the book, and form your own opinion. Because I personally think that the contemporary aspect that I found boring is probably because I think I'm reaching a point where I'm growing out of YA, and I don't care to read it as much anymore. If you want more of my thoughts, check out the live show in the description below, but take everything I said on Full Disclosure with a grain of salt, and maybe pick it up and read it for yourself, because it definitely has its audience. I am just not in the audience. Next, I read Places We've Never Been by Casey West. I received an e-arc of this book from NetGalley, the publisher, in exchange for an honest review, and I finally got around to it. I know it's been out for like 3 months now. I will link my Goodreads review in the description below. Casey West is one of those authors where she writes fluffy romances that I can read easily and then almost immediately forget about. They're super easy palate cleansers for me. So if you ever need a palate cleanser, that's something you don't want to, like, you don't need to fully immerse yourself in it, Casey West is a go-to, at least for the young adult genre. I gave this one 4 stars. Check out my review, linked in the description below. Next, I read one of my favorite books of ever now by one of my favorite authors, and that is Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. I had such worries that I wasn't going to like this book. I don't know why, because Ali Hazelwood hit it out of the park again. I buddy read this book with my friend Desiree from Libre Labra, and oh my god, I had to fight to put it down because I had other books I had to finish while I was also reading this. This was amazing. I gave it 5 stars. I love Levi. I love Bee. There's something about her characters that I love them. I don't even have words. 5 stars. Ali Hazelwood is an auto-buy author for me. I am looking forward to her next book. It's not in the back of this book, but the title is in the back of the book, which is Love Theoretically, and I am obsessed. I'm actually going to get ready to reread The Love Hypothesis for my annotating, and I am ready. And finally, the last book that I completed this month, the 11th book, I finished maybe an hour or two before this video, and it is Hooked by Emily McIntyre. This is a super adult, super gruesome Peter Pan retelling following the villain, which is Hook, one of our main characters. Couple things to note. Tons of trigger warnings. Definitely look into the content warnings of this book before you read it because it is intended for a very mature audience. This is not a retelling. It is set in the modern world. It is super dark. If you like drug lord stories, mafia stories, gruesome books, then yeah, pick this one up. I don't think I fully processed my feelings on it yet. There were parts that I enjoyed, parts that I was like, I don't know. I settled on 3.5 stars. I am gonna read the next book, which is a Lion King retelling called Scarred. And then I think the next one is a Wizard of Oz retelling. I think I'm still processing my feelings on this book. So I will see how I feel with the rest of the series. And that is everything that I read during the month of August. I cannot believe we are going into September. It is going to be my birthday month, so I am very excited for that, and also for fall vibes, but wow, August is over. I think I had a really good reading month. I feel really good about where I am at with my reading and where my reading is going in the future, so super pumped. But thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed it. As always, if you like what you see here, please go ahead and click subscribe. I post new videos every week, so click subscribe so you can be updated when I post those. And I will see you in my next one. Bye!
In the darkness, I don't feel so cold.